Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to a new Tesla news video. As always, let's talk about Tesla today. We should talk about the market and try to figure out what the heck happened to the stock and what we can expect going forward. It's a long weekend, and don't forget that Monday is MLK Day, so we have a little break. But yeah, let's just talk about it and try to figure it out. As always, if you liked it, don't forget to hit the like button. This is not money advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and of course, my YouTube membership section is live. The link is below, and it gives you access to my NA thoughts, updates, and other things. Also, let's just jump into a Tesla once more. It's not a surprise that we're down almost 4 in the day, which is pretty bad, but the stock still closed at about $218 per share, or just above $218 per share. Let me double check the exact number. 28 main post, market fantastic, but nonetheless, let's talk about it. So what does this all mean? First and foremost, let's talk about what is happening. Overall, let's take a look at the overall picture first, right before we go into more, specific detail. It had this massive breakout of this B flag. We ran up to 265, maybe look on the weekly, even right, ran up to 265. Remember, I was talking about this level for quite some time. We were completely right about this. We had a beautiful run up, obviously, in hindsight. I wish I took some more precautions here. Sold calls, but it wasn't enough. Obviously, some more precautions would have been nice. But nonetheless, we were absolutely right about around this 265 is level, and that's exactly where we rejected at and set up a pretty bearish-looking hammer candle, inverted like bearish hammer candle, and of course, follow through. Like I said, I personally expected it, which, again, I did expect to come down to about, this retest of the flag, right about 240, give or take. What I didn't expect is for this week, essentially, to be also pretty much just as bad as last week. I didn't expect this to get this low. To be completely honest, I will obviously own up to that entirely. I expected the rejection here. I expected retest of the flag, did not expect it to fail. I mean, at least I was very much hoping it wouldn't fail, and especially did not expect us to drop all the way down to 218 this fast, especially this fast without any breaks, right? Looking at the daily chart again, we see a straight drop with only one candle in between a break and then a flush down all the way to these levels. Pretty painful, but there's a lot to talk about. So let's start with the daily chart. There's good news and bad news. The bad news is that we're still below pretty much. There's a lot of wind outside. It's very, very windy in Toronto, so hopefully you guys don't hear that. But yeah, it's that simple. We're just below pretty much every meaningful moving average right now. It's not great. It's bearish. Hopefully we can recapture it next week. But at least one of them, like the 200-day moving average, would be a phenomenal start. But again, we are below all of them right here. Right now, that's the pretty obvious bad news, right? The other bad news is that, remember this these two green lines in between, ignore. I'll need to change the colors or something. But remember we were talking about this potential little channel that we were in, and we were yesterday's candle at least bouncing supposedly at least to the bottom of the channel. Well, not only do we gap down below on more bad news, by the way, all of this drop right here, it's just bad news after bad news after bad news. That's an increase, the workers' wage, which obviously it's a good thing for the workers, technically bad for the financials, which makes you wonder, why would they do that if their financial for Q4 is bad? Maybe it's actually that good that they had the room to increase workers' wages. Who knows? We'll see. But, we had the shutdown, or I guess somewhat shutdown in Berlin due to issues overseas with, of course, the war and whatnot. And so supplies coming over, so that's going to be putting that factory down for the majority of it for about a week and a half or so. That's bad news as well. Tesla also lowered the prices in China, not great news as well. So it was just bad news after bad news after bad news. Bad news personally. I think the stock is overreacting. I think this is just a momentum shift. Like when stocks just really start to rally and just keep rallying no matter what happens. Nvidia is doing it right now pretty much for the most part. Tesla does it as well. Like this rally here, which just kept going right until it broke here. But the point is that when stocks like Tesla start making a big move in a direction, they just snowball and get faster and more severe. We're doing the same thing. Tesla does it often and has a few things. Interesting to note, first and foremost, the reason I brought up this channel is that we got below it, we came up, we retested it, thankfully for the bears, I guess successfully, and then obviously you can see pretty much continued our way back down. Not ideal. Right here is where I did take and exit some of my cash secured puts that I had. Remember this green box acting as a resistance, not ideal. However, with that being said, there's something interesting to note. So let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit like this, and let's take a look at the overall picture. One more time. So let me remove the moving averages just for now. We'll bring them back up on the weekly time frame here, but let's take a look over here. Do you notice anything interesting? We have it, of course, like I said before, the inverted head. Shoulders pattern. We have the left shoulder here. We have the head here. And then we have, of course, now the right shoulder being formed right here. Let me just in case, I'll draw it out like this. Boom. Right? That's one, go ahead and clone this. That's two, go ahead and clone this. And that's three. That's essentially the situation we currently find ourselves in. This is, like, in my opinion, the last hope, right? This is the last hope for the bullish pattern for something to give us a somewhat of a relief. Rally, obviously, this pattern actually plays out, which would essentially constitute a break of about, in my opinion. At the very least, 265, this would play out, and then we would have a phenomenal rally. Maybe this is just the flush before the rally. Maybe that's copying, I don't know. But what I do know is the fact that we're still holding this pattern, this head. Our shoulders pattern inverted, which is a bullish pattern. But notice something else that's interesting. The right shoulder is pretty much almost exactly where the left shoulder pretty much quote-unquote bottomed out, right? It's maybe a little bit lower, but it's very close to it. But the thing that's the most interesting is the fact that this left shoulder also had a massive flush. Just started off kind of bad, kind of looking shaky, and then it just accelerated aggressively. You can see the slope. It just started sloping down like substantially, right? Almost like a waterfall, right? Pretty much same thing happened here, kind of shaky. And then we just kind of started really accelerating this loss, or the selling pressure, especially the last like 3 days or so, okay? It just really started to accelerate, and it got much more severe, and interestingly enough, we had a gap down here, which was the bottom of the shoulder. I'm not saying this is going to happen again, but it's just interesting to notice these potential patterns, because then we also had today a massive gap down with a candle again. So red candle compared to, a green or I guess white candle, whatever. But the point is the fact that they both are looking pretty similar, like a spinning top type candle. Thanks for viewing. And as always, if you liked the video, press that like button. See you on Tuesday and have a nice long weekend. On Tuesday, and then I expect us to find the bottom and look for some relief rally pretty much as we run up into earnings, and then from there. Of course, it's anyone's game and we'll see what happens there. But all in all, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, of course, don't forget to hit that like button. Pretty long video today, but pretty substantial price action happening, pretty horrendous price action. It is what it is. Sometimes the market just likes to do these kind of things, and you have to just either accept it or, maybe it's just if you can't handle it, can't handle the heat. You got to get out of the kitchen. That's all it is. That's just how it works. But all in all, thanks for watching. And as usual, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. And I will see you on Tuesday. Have a great long weekend. Peace.